Hello and welcome once again in my home. This is Reverend Rick Clay. A very good friend of mine who watches these videos every week asked me if I would make a video about forgiveness. I know the reasons why. Nothing I can get into. But I got to thinking about it and I realized maybe there's a lot of people out there that aren't necessarily very religious or go to church on a regular basis. Maybe some people feel like there's stuff they need to be forgiven for. So, forgiveness. First of all, what is forgiveness? To forgive somebody is to give them pardon. I think there's a big confusion in that forgiveness and forgetting maybe get intertwined somehow, but they're definitely not the same thing. To pardon somebody like a governor or the president does is to say, okay, we're done with you, you can go. It's not acknowledging that you didn't do it. It's not saying you're innocent of whatever crime it was that you went to jail for. This is saying, okay, we're done. And forgiving's the same thing. If somebody wrongs you, or if you've wronged somebody else, or even if you've wronged yourself, just because you forgive doesn't mean that you have to forget. Forgiving is not a concept. Forgiving is an action. To forgive yourself, you need to understand what it's going to take for you to move beyond whatever it is that you need forgiven for. People do stupid things. Everybody does stupid stuff. Nobody is perfect. Okay, there's, religiously and theologically speaking, there's only ever been one perfect person. That was Jesus. So unless you're Jesus, you're not perfect. So everybody needs forgiveness for something. Now, how you forgive yourself is you understand what it is that you need to forgive yourself for, and then you need to do penance. In the Roman Catholic Church, if you sin, you go to a confessional, you confess your sins to a priest. They give you so many Hail Marys to do and you're on your way. You have turned that sin over to the priest, and in the name of God he has absolved you of your sin. Well, not everybody's Roman Catholic. So what you need to do is, if you sin against yourself, or if you do something that you feel is a sin or wrong, whatever you do to make yourself move beyond that is your penance. If that means, in your mind, trying to live a better life, say, or maybe doing something different the next way, that's how you forgive yourself for your sins. You make it right. Make it right for yourself up here and in your heart. Is there anything that's beyond forgiving? No. Anything can be forgiven. It just depends on what you're willing to do to forgive yourself for it, and how far you're willing to go, and if it's worth it to you. Maybe some people can live with stuff that they do. Maybe some people can't. Everybody's different. I know me personally, I committed a huge sin against a very good friend of mine that I grew up with. And I spent 15 years trying to forgive myself for what I had done to him. When I ultimately got to the point to where I could, when I contacted him, he said, "Man, don't worry about it. I forgave you a long time ago." So my penance for what I had done to him was losing 15 years worth of what could have been a great, wonderful relationship with a very good friend of mine. And I'm sorry I missed that. But that's what it took for me to forgive myself. Now, I regret what I did. I'll never forget what I did, but I'm okay with it, you know? If he's okay with it, so am I. How do we forgive others? Other people, if people sin against you, do something bad to you, trespass against you, let it go. Life's too short. You don't want to hold anger or hate or discontent inside you, because it can fester like an infection or a cancer. The littlest thing, if not taken care of, can grow and evolve into this big, huge, consuming monster. And why would you want to do that to yourself? Take a little kid on an elementary school playground. Maybe one day he gets pushed off the merry-go-round by another kid, a bully or whatever. Maybe that one act will hide deep in the psyche of a child and grow and fester and just evolve into actually changing the personality type of this person, to where maybe 30, 40 years down the line, something triggers that event, they snap, go into a post office and kill a bunch of people, or a mall, or a school. Don't harbor hatred. If somebody has done you wrong, let it go. Forgive them in your heart. If you've done something wrong to somebody, ask them to forgive you. Don't dwell on it. You need to do your penance for what you've done, but you also need to make sure that you're going to be okay with it. Don't wait 15 years to find out, that maybe you were done with it 10 years ago. You have to forgive others. Nobody's beyond forgiveness. And nothing is unforgivable. Mass murderers on their way to the execution chamber are forgiven. That's why they have priests there. If a mass murderer can be forgiven by God, surely you can forgive yourself for whatever it is you've done. Surely you can forgive others for whatever they've done against you. And you'll probably be a much happier person for doing so. Just remember, just because you forgive somebody doesn't mean you forget. We should never forget the sins of our past or what we've done wrong. When we forget our own history, we're bound to repeat it. It's a very true statement. We all have our own personal history. Make it right. Learn from your mistakes. I trained military cadets for many, many years. And I always told them, because I firmly believed that nothing is ever a mistake if you can salvage something from it. If you learn from your mistakes, then it's not 100% loss. And in fact, I could even say that that's how we go about gaining wisdom, is learning from our mistakes. How long does it take you to put your hand in the fire before you realize it's hot? You just gained a little bit of wisdom there. You're wiser for that. Same thing with mistakes. If you make a mistake once and learn from it, it's not a mistake. And if you make the same mistake again, that's just stupid, and yeah, that's a mistake. Sorry, I can't make it all nice for you. But forgive yourself. Don't harbor hatred. Forgive others. Life's too short. You'll be surprised, 10 years from now you're going to look back at something you did and think, man, was that really that bad? Anyway, thank you once again for joining me. This is Reverend Ricky Clay. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. See you next time.